Hi all, we're here today to talk about a few themes that we've been seeing coming up for ourselves, for our clients, our community, and the world as a whole. We feel it's time to highlight some of the division, hatred, and illusion of separation that we may have been experiencing through propagation, and we're wondering how we can show up more in love, in unity, and faith as fellow light workers, light warriors, and healers. So we've noticed a huge connection between the root and the throat chakra in regards to both of these centers, as the root chakra being activated with fear and the throat chakra being our center for purification and truth. So both get to work very closely in conjunction so that we're not in fight or flight mode, so that we are in a space where we're receiving divine wisdom, our soul's expression, and able to show up authentically. And we also are able to create foundations that feel firm, that feel safe for ourselves, for our families, for our communities, for our nation, and also for the planet as a whole, because all is one.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, that is the sacred truth of the root center, is that all is one. And so what are we speaking into existence? Can we use our word to create more unity rather than feed the story of division, of whether or not someone has it right or wrong, and then turn that inward to create that alignment and that unity within, that unity consciousness within, so that we're no longer attached to the addiction of duality, right? We've been talking about how do we transcend that addiction? How do we transcend the addiction to suffering, right? Because our soul's nature is to be sovereign, is to be free, is to be of love. And so when we include a little bit of suffering in there, our work is to get to know self in such a way that we can transcend that and speak new realities into existence, speak words that are going to empower the body and direct the body in a more aligned way, in a more unified way. And I love, the safe space, or creating that safe space around us, happens through our words. It happens through having trust in self, and developing faith in self, and developing faith in a divine will, so that we're surrendering and we don't have that very physical need of controlling or being attached to the material things. There is a valuing of them and appreciation of them, yet it doesn't define us, right? What defines us is our authentic choices, our authentic truths, right? Getting to know self in a deeper way, and just asking questions. I think that's a big way to use the throat space, or the throat center's power, because we can use it to retell the stories of suffering. We can use it to retell our own traumas and wounds. And we can also use it to create new possibilities and new realities, new experiences, and new perspectives, right? So when we're tuning into the throat, we're asking to align the mind and the heart, so that the body takes that direction and creates that physical manifestation of the inspiration or the desire.
Accurate. So everything that we're speaking is thus being put out into the environment. It's for others to receive. And so we are responsible for everything that we speak out into existence. And so allowing for that alignment between the mind and the heart, and speaking with compassion, is ultimately one of our goals here, right? So we get to be aware of our word choices, be aware of what we're speaking about, the stories we're telling, even our own traumas. How can we reframe them in a way where we are no longer in a victim mode, where we are taking back as much power, as much faith as we can have in the divine to kind of run that. So it is also this importance of listening too. So throat chakra isn't simply just what we're speaking out, it's also what we're taking in. It's also the practice of therapeutic listening, which is why questions are so important. Sometimes the most supportive relationships and interactions occur when questions are asked, to allow for that space of listening to happen. Whereas sometimes our masculine energy wants to hop right in and offer, here's the solution to this, that, the other thing. Maybe the person simply wants to be heard and understood in this moment in time, and then maybe action can occur a little bit later. So there's a bit of a pause, a bit of a practice of therapeutic listening too.
Yeah, that reminds me of Gloria Steinem words, where she said, God is in the details, but the goddess is in the questions. And when we start to ask there's no going back, right? So there's this integration of the details and the masculine energy asserting and being directed in a way where it's going to act and create possibilities, where the very feminine nature within us is to go more within, to ask those deeper questions. It's how do we create new soil for those possibilities that are being created through the masculine energy? And perhaps that's part of why we also live in such a masculine driven world right now. And I think that's what's happening. We're finding our harmony, we're finding our balance internally and externally.
Right.
But if we're too focused on the details, on the answers, on how it's supposed to be, it stops, or it can limit what we allow and how we receive, and it might limit our possibilities of creation, because this is how we create. In the beginning was the Word, and Word made man, right? So through our word we create fields, and the more we repeat those words, the stronger and stronger those fields become, and then they become form, right? So the repetition, they say, is the mother of knowledge, or that's how we create this form, is because we're constantly repeating our words. So what happens when what we're repeating are questions that take us deeper, that create more possibilities, like, what are the infinite possibilities? What else is possible? How does it get better than this, right? So even when something crappy is happening, if I'm in that space of how does it get better than this, automatically my subconscious mind is looking for possibilities of how to make it better, rather than, oh, well, this happened and then this happened, and we're retelling that story. And something you mentioned too reminded me with the root and the throat, how sometimes even ancestral stuff that is within our DNA gets to get activated through our word, right? And so detaching or coming to a place of acceptance and embracing what our ancestors went through, whether it was in our own family or collectively, and almost like looking at the story from an observer mode, right? Like, what can I learn from this, rather than, well, like, this happened to my family, or this happened to our ancestors, so on and so forth, so I'm carrying this. No, it's like, how do I learn from that, and also activate what was of the light there, what was positive, what gifts were there, and activating that within the body, because the body has memory, it carries wisdom, it's our best friend. It's always looking to protect us and to carry the spirit within us wherever we go. It's our vessel, it's our sacred vessel. And so using this word to nourish it, to love it, to listen to it. How often we hear people, like, they know that something's off with their body, yet maybe they're not even taking time to listen to what their body is telling them.
Right. Yeah, and another aspect here with the throat, when we're asking questions, perhaps asking questions is our path to faith. And trusting ourselves, and we're asking questions like, please show me what I need to see in this moment in time. Asking for clarity, that sort of thing, is a wonderful step towards building our own faith and building trust in our experience here. So I love that. And I love the connection with the body. It's time for us to connect with our bodies as the sacred temples that they are. Sacred temples in all ways, shapes, and forms. Temples also contain valuable information, wisdom passed down through generations and generations. And we feel that at a cellular level in our DNA. And so when we activate that within ourselves, we're walking with new wisdom. We're walking with experiences that we didn't have to physically go through here, that we get to understand empathy on a deeper level. We get to understand how truly we're all interconnected. This is that concept of unity consciousness. So tuning into our throat chakras, our root chakras, integrating the energies within may help us on our path towards greater understanding that one is in the all, and we are all truly interconnected. Therefore, we bypass any addiction to fear, and we have that antidote of faith, and we show up in a way that we can love everyone unconditionally. It's a goal for us.
That was beautifully said. That was it. Yeah, so if anything's been coming up for you in terms of those centers or these concepts, or anything you'd like to add, feel free to share and let us know.
Yeah, we'd love to hear.
Thanks.